Bill Maher called out CNN's Kaitlan Collins on the network's bias. Let's watch.
You made press because you were on Stephen Colbert's show, and he said something like, you guys at CNN just report the news straight. And the crowd burst into laughter.
CNN is the place where both sides can watch. And
I'm talking about the people on CNN. And what I know what the conservative side of America thinks, and I don't blame them. They were just gushing about how great a speech it was. And I think she did fine. I didn't think it was as good as they were making it out to be. It does look like tokenism. It's kind of like the same as The View. In a way, I feel like it's more insulting than what Trump does. And Trump says you're the enemy of the people, which is pretty bad. But she's kind of saying I don't need you. I'm not talking to you. You don't matter. You're not relevant anymore. To me, that's even worse than I hate you. It's like, I don't think about you.
I don't know if it's worse than denigrating the press on a daily basis, which is what Donald Trump did.
Why you held on to those documents when you knew the federal government was seeking them and then had given you a subpoena to return them?
Are you ready? Are you ready? Can I talk?
Yeah, what's the
answer? Do you mind?
I would like for you to answer the question.
Okay, it's very simple to answer.
That's why I asked it.
It's very simple you're a nasty person.
Let's jump straight into the fiery confrontation between Bill Maher and CNN's Kaitlan Collins. Known for his controversial opinions, Bill Maher has stirred up controversy once again, this time directing his criticism at CNN's blatant bias.
You made press because you were on Stephen Colbert's show, and he said something like, you guys at CNN just report the news straight. And the crowd burst into laughter. Look, I'm on CNN now. I guess we're on it right now. I mean, they show this show the next night. I don't know how we get away with it with all the fucks, but they do. And all these dirty jokes. But I'm glad. And I'm a big rooter for CNN. But that tells you a lot, doesn't it? I mean, how do you guys think you are doing in that arena of this is a terribly divided country. We're not only politicized, a lot of people just hate the other side. And CNN, in my view, should be the place where both sides can watch. How do you think you're doing with that?
CNN is the place where both sides can watch. And I think, my show is evidence of that. We have lawmakers on from both parties. We'll have Elizabeth Warren on one night.
We're talking about a network that's gained a reputation for shaping stories to align with a specific agenda, something Maher is fed up with.
Is it appropriate to bury the Hunter Biden?
You're talking about the press doing that?
He's saying that's what they did, and that is what they did. They buried the Hunter Biden story before the election because they were like, we can't risk having the election thrown to Trump. We'll tell them after the election.
And we know for a fact that that's what they did?
Of course. You don't
but
follow this.
Saying you know for a fact that that's what they did. I don't know what they did.
I know, because you only watch MSNBC.
Recently, Maher criticized Collins for her gotcha approach during interviews, particularly in her handling of Trump, a figure who, whether you like him or not, has mastered the art of evading media traps better than most.
That environment wasn't just created by Donald Trump.
Okay, but can I say, you can't blame, and everyone wants your dad to be safe. No one wants the threats against his life to happen, but you can't blame the media for those threats. There's been no evidence that's what drove those.
And allows people to have a platform to call someone literally Hitler every day for 9 years, it creates it. Okay. Whether you want to believe it or not, that's a fact.
But as you know, J.D. Vance once likened your dad to Hitler as well. He questioned if he was America's.
Recently, Maher took aim at Collins for her gotcha style in interviews, especially when dealing with Trump, a figure who, love him or hate him, has perfected the skill of sidestepping media traps like few others.
Was what you'd have to call some sort of media suppression of Hunter Biden's computer right before the election.
Oh, no doubt. Okay, and the truth is, I still don't know what I think about that. And sometimes,
right.
But I mean, to actually parse everything in there and figure out just how dirty Biden Sr. is as a result of the information there.
Can I go to step two? But nothing really. It was common. It was the kind of sort of everyday graft that's sleazy, but doesn't affect the world. Probably.
Yes.
Hunter Biden sold his father's influence to get money. But Joe Biden himself would not give away our nuclear secrets to the Chinese. He's not, he has a soft spot for his son, his ne'er-do-well, stupid.
I mean, you've heard his voicemails to his Hunter.
So, Dad, I'm in a little bit of a jam. Could you just meet with the Chinese guy next week? It would mean a lot to me. And Joe would do it. And then and then Hunter would get.
Maher's argument isn't just a casual dinner conversation. It's a direct challenge to a media system obsessed with shaping narratives over seeking the truth. CNN, which once stood as a symbol of balanced reporting, seems like a distant memory now. Maher, with his razor-sharp commentary, is pulling back the curtain and urging viewers to see things through his lens, focused on context, accountability, and uncovering the full story. So, if you're the type who enjoys content that challenges the status quo, make sure to hit that subscribe button now. Seriously, I'll wait. Did you do it? Great. Welcome aboard. Now, let's dive in. Alright, folks, let's talk about the heart of the matter, the explosive showdown between Bill Maher and Kaitlan Collins that's turned heads. It's one thing to discuss media bias in theory, but witnessing it play out in real time is an entirely different experience. And that's exactly what Maher did, taking the spotlight to confront the very core of CNN's reporting practices. Here's what went down. Maher, known for tackling uncomfortable truths head-on, sat down with Collins for an interview that quickly turned into an intense critique session.
Sorry, but she's only a star with leftists, and the fact that she has some roots in Alabama does not make her a fair and balanced reporter. I will submit to the record, her biggest sin is not that she is biased, though she is. It's that she's boring. She's extremely boring with no personality. I have a pro tip for her. Smile. Try smiling every once in a while. Try not to be, like, in your delivery, such a cold-hearted all the time, because it gives people nothing to bond to. You can be a tough interviewer.
Maher didn't just throw a few light jabs. He went straight for the jugular, accusing CNN of manipulation and bias. In his view, they've strayed far from the core values of journalism. Remember when the news was about presenting facts? It seems like Maher is suggesting those days might be fading into the past. He began by focusing on an interview Collins had with Trump, pointing out how it wasn't aimed at enlightening the public or fostering understanding. Instead, it seemed more about cornering Trump into making a statement that could easily be spun in a negative light. Now, whether you like him or not, you've got to give Trump credit, he knows how to handle a verbal duel. But Maher wasn't just criticizing Collins for being tough, he was calling her out as part of a larger issue, the shift from meaningful interviews to nothing more than sound bites and gotcha moments that ultimately lead nowhere.
Kaitlan Collins from CNN, obviously talking about how terrible Trump is and what a terrible job he's doing and how Kamala Harris has all the momentum and all of that sort of thing. But that's not the interesting part of the clip. The interesting part of the clip is that Stephen Colbert says, in perfect seriousness, with a straight face, that the legacy media are objective. And listen to the reaction of the crowd. Again, this is a crowd who opts into viewing The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, which means that they are all on the left.
Trump has kind of been thrown on his heels by this, and he's not really sure how to go after Vice President Harris. He knew his attack lines on President Biden. He really has struggled with how to go after someone who's 20 years younger than him, who is a different gender, a different race. It's kind of been this moment where he has not been able to coalesce around a single attack line.
I know you guys are objective over there, that you just report the news as it is. I know. CNN makes I know
that's supposed to be a laugh line?
I wasn't supposed to be, but I guess it is.
Okay, that is an incredible admission, number one, by Stephen Colbert.
Collins, doing her best to stay composed and professional during the exchange, appeared a bit caught off guard by Maher's blunt approach.
Just the press pool made by your office. She said in an interview, quote, what we're looking at is what North Korea is doing. What's your response to that? And can you say anything to allay concerns that unfavorable coverage will be punished in this new press system?
I think that's the same individual who said from this podium numerous times that the commander-in-chief was mentally and physically up for the job, which we knew was a lie. Many people in this room knew it was a lie. Many of you were admonished for asking questions about that truth. So when it comes to truth and transparency, this administration, this White House is setting the example. This president is taking far more questions than his predecessor, Joe Biden, did on a daily basis, and that will continue.
Let me tell you, it's rare to see someone from the mainstream media being held directly accountable for the issues they usually dance around. Maher didn't hold back, pointing out multiple instances where he believed CNN prioritized sensationalism over substance. He called out how coverage of Trump and even President Biden wasn't being treated fairly, accusing the network of fixating on negative stories about one party while glossing over the flaws of the other. But Maher's critique didn't stop at just the content. He went deeper, arguing that the media's selective reporting was playing a major role in driving political division in the country. He painted a vivid picture where CNN, by picking sides, wasn't just distorting public perception, it was actively fueling division and stoking partisan hatred. According to Maher, It's this very divisiveness that's harming the nation, turning this conversation into something far bigger than just Trump or CNN. It's about the state of American politics as a whole.
Democrat Party, the mainstream media still doesn't get it. Last night, MSNBC's Nicole Wallace disgustingly looped in a 13-year-old boy with brain cancer into an attack on the president over January 6th. And CNN's first chyron out of the speech called it divisive. President Trump wasn't divisive. The Democrats were. And CNN was proven wrong by their own viewers, 69% of whom, in a post-speech poll, said they had a positive reaction to the president's speech. It's sad and frankly pathetic that Democrats and liberals in the legacy media continue to allow their hatred for the president to override their love for our country. But nevertheless, the president will continue to unify this nation through policies that are grounded in common sense and that uplift all Americans.
You can tell Bill Maher isn't tossing these remarks around lightly. He's making a bold call for accountability, demanding that the media own up to their role in shaping public opinion and take responsibility for their actions. In an era where trust in media is eroding and viewers are left questioning who they can trust for the truth, it's a powerful stance. To her credit, Collins pushed back, defending her role by pointing out that tough questioning is part of her job, a fair point in itself. But Maher countered that there's a distinct line between hard-hitting journalism and outright trying to tear someone down for ratings. And boy, did that hit home with the audience. You could practically feel people nodding along, maybe even shouting in their heads, "Finally, someone's saying what we've all been thinking." Imagine the pressure on Collins, though, sitting there with Maher calling out not just her but her entire network, a network that prides itself on integrity and fairness, being grilled for those very values. Collins tried to regain control, attempting to steer the conversation toward their objective coverage of various topics. But Maher wasn't backing down. He pointed out specific episodes and coverage that he felt contradicted her defense. For instance, when Maher brought up CNN's handling of the Hunter Biden story, everyone remembers that one, right? The emails, the scandal, the kind of juicy stuff news outlets thrive on. Yet Maher argued that CNN downplayed it compared to how they devoured rumors surrounding Trump. This clear imbalance, he pointed out, only fed the criticism about mainstream media's credibility. At this point, you can't help but wonder, where do Collins and CNN draw the line? Where does accountability begin? Maher pressed hard on these questions, essentially arguing that if media outlets don't start self-reflecting, they'll only continue to stray further from what journalism should be, a factual recounting that informs, not inflames. This debate, if you can even call it that, highlighted much larger issues than just a single network or anchor. It forced viewers to ask themselves, what do I really know about what's happening in the world, and how much of it is just a narrative someone else chose for me? And, wow, that's a question that carries a lot of weight in today's world. The core of Maher's message was a simple yet powerful idea. If media outlets like CNN want to maintain credibility, they have to prove it. They need to rise above the convenience of sound bites and return to meaningful, balanced journalism. It's a tall order, no doubt, but one that Maher and many viewers believe is long overdue, and it's not just about calling out one network. Maher's criticism applies universally, urging all media outlets to step up or face public scrutiny. Right now, it's a critical moment for news organizations. They either adapt and regain trust, or they continue down a path that alienates their audience. Maher's point was clear, and you could almost feel the tension in the air as everyone waited to see how Collins would respond next. It's in moments like this that we see how challenging it is to address media failures without turning the conversation into personal attacks. Maher managed to walk that fine line, sticking to his principles without shying away from controversy. So, what do you think, folks? Was Maher versus Collins just a spat between media personalities, or does it point to something much bigger about journalism today? Drop a comment below with your thoughts. I'd love to hear your take. Let's keep this conversation going.